Sean "Diddy" Combs says he's the victim of a media takedown, and CNN is at the center of it. The network's explosive surveillance footage of his alleged mistreatment of Cassie Ventura shocked the world, but now, Combs' legal team claims the video was manipulated to destroy his reputation. As he sits behind bars, facing a federal trial that could seal his fate, the mogul insists he's being framed. With lawsuits piling up, high-profile betrayals, and a brutal stint in MDC Brooklyn, Combs isn't just fighting for his freedom. He's fighting to prove the world is watching a carefully crafted lie. Diddy accuses CNN of framing him with altered assault video. The atmosphere surrounding Sean "Diddy" Combs has grown increasingly tense as his legal team launches a fiery counterattack against CNN. The legendary music mogul, now 55, finds himself at the center of an intensifying battle over a controversial surveillance video depicting his alleged mistreatment of his former partner, Cassie Ventura, on March 5, 2016. But Combs insists the footage isn't what it seems. In a stunning legal maneuver, his attorneys have accused CNN of not only altering the video, but also destroying the original, fueling an already explosive case that has captivated public attention. When CNN first released the footage on May 17, 2024, the world watched in horror as grainy black and white security footage played on screens across the nation. Cassie, now 38, appeared distressed as she exited a Los Angeles Intercontinental hotel room, Combs following closely behind. Wrapped only in a white towel and socks, he moved aggressively, seizing her by the neck and forcefully tossing her to the floor. As she lay motionless, he delivered a series of kicks before grabbing her belongings and storming off. But now, Combs' legal team insists that what people saw was not the full story, alleging a calculated effort by CNN to manipulate public perception. In a court filing submitted in New York City on March 13, 2025, Combs' attorneys made startling claims. CNN had acquired the only known copy of the surveillance video, uploaded it to editing software, and manipulated it to make Combs appear far more aggressive than he actually was. According to the filing, timestamps had been deliberately obscured, the sequence of events was altered, and the video's speed was artificially increased, creating an illusion of heightened violence. All CNN video footage was substantially altered in significant respects, the filing stated. This includes covering the timestamp and then changing the video sequence. It also includes speeding up the video to make it falsely appear that the actions in the video are taking place faster than they are. As a result, the CNN videos do not fairly and accurately depict the events in question. The accusations went even further, alleging that CNN had destroyed the original copy of the footage, making it impossible for forensic experts to verify the authenticity of the clip. If true, this could raise serious ethical and legal questions about the handling of potentially crucial evidence. Despite the bombshell claims, CNN has remained steadfast in its position. In a statement to People, a CNN spokesperson categorically denied the allegations, stating, "CNN never altered the video and did not destroy the original copy of the footage, which was retained by the source." The network also pointed to the timeline, emphasizing that the video was released months before Combs' September 16, 2024 arrest, making it impossible for them to have manipulated evidence in anticipation of his legal troubles. To further solidify its case, CNN pointed out that they had verified the footage's authenticity before airing it. Their forensic review had compared the clip to publicly available images of the Intercontinental Hotel, ensuring that it matched the expected setting. Meanwhile, sources close to the hotel had previously disclosed that the original surveillance footage had been sold to Combs himself for $50,000, just one day after the incident, according to Cassie's lawsuit. This transaction has raised additional questions about whether the mogul had attempted to suppress the footage before it surfaced years later. As news of Combs' allegations against CNN spread, public reaction remained sharply divided. Social media erupted in debates, with some fans fiercely defending the hip-hop icon, while others mocked his legal strategy. Critics pointed out the irony of his defense, arguing that his claim of the video being sped up only reinforced the perception that he had prolonged his actions rather than mitigate them. Others, however, questioned whether the video had truly been tampered with, expressing concern that CNN's alleged handling of the footage could compromise the integrity of the case. Things haven't been looking good for Diddy in recent weeks, and now his legal troubles have deepened even further. One of his lawyers, Anthony Rico, has abruptly filed a motion to withdraw from Combs' defense team. In an affidavit obtained by People, Rico did not provide a specific reason for his departure, but wrote, "Under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs." Rico, who has a long history of defending high-profile and controversial figures, including individuals connected to the World Trade Center bombing conspiracy, made it clear that his departure was non-negotiable. He also noted that he came to his decision after speaking with Combs' lead attorney, Mark Agnifilo. Many have speculated about why a lawyer of Rico's caliber, who has represented figures considered far more dangerous, would choose to leave. Conspiracy theories have already begun to swirl, with some wondering whether Diddy's legal situation is far worse than it appears. While the judge has yet to approve Rico's motion, Combs still has 5 other attorneys representing him in his federal case. But his sudden departure only adds to the uncertainty surrounding the embattled mogul's future. With Combs' legal team pressing for the video's exclusion from trial, the court is now faced with the complex task of determining its authenticity. The upcoming motion will likely be a pivotal moment, as prosecutors prepare to counter the defense's claims and reaffirm the video's validity as key evidence. While Diddy fights to discredit the leaked footage and shift the narrative in his favor, his legal troubles extend far beyond a single video. The case against Diddy. The weight of the United States government has come crashing down on Sean Diddy Combs, who now finds himself at the center of one of the most significant criminal prosecutions in entertainment history. With an unsealed federal indictment laying out a deeply detailed and damning case against him, prosecutors have painted a picture of a man who, for years, allegedly wielded his wealth, influence, and business empire to engage in misconduct, coercion, and manipulation, all while carefully constructing a wall of silence around him. The document filed in the Southern District of New York accuses Combs of running a criminal enterprise under the guise of his various businesses, which included music labels, a marketing agency, and a television network. The government contends that these ventures were not merely businesses, but tools that allowed him to carry out and conceal illegal activities. At the core of the indictment is the claim that Combs did not act alone. Prosecutors argue that he created and led an organization of individuals, including security personnel, assistants, and other employees, who facilitated his wrongdoing. According to the government, this Combs enterprise functioned as a tightly controlled network, with Combs at its center, directing and benefiting from its actions while ensuring those who assisted him remained silent, loyal, and in many cases complicit. The most serious charge he faces is racketeering conspiracy under the RICO Act, a statute originally designed to dismantle organized crime syndicates. By using this law, prosecutors do not need to prove that Combs personally committed every alleged act, but only that he led an enterprise engaging in a pattern of criminal behavior. The indictment describes this pattern as spanning decades, involving acts of coercion, forced labor, obstruction of justice, and financial bribery, all designed to maintain control over victims and insulate himself from accountability. If convicted, this charge alone could carry a life sentence, demonstrating just how aggressively the government is pursuing him. In addition to racketeering, the indictment details alleged efforts to silence those who might expose his conduct. The government claims that Combs used bribes, intimidation, and even physical threats to ensure that his employees, business associates, and victims remained quiet. One incident highlighted in the indictment centers around his alleged mistreatment of Cassie Ventura in a Los Angeles hotel in 2016, a moment captured on surveillance footage that resurfaced years later. Prosecutors argue that Combs' first instinct after that incident was not remorse, but damage control, allegedly offering money to a hotel security staff member to keep quiet. This, they claim, was not an isolated event, but part of a broader pattern of using financial incentives to suppress damaging evidence and testimony. The indictment suggests that for those who could not be bought, other means of coercion, such as threats to their careers, reputations, and safety, were used instead. The legal case does not stop at personal misconduct. The government has also set its sights on dismantling the financial empire that prosecutors say enabled these crimes. If convicted, Combs stands to lose more than just his freedom. Prosecutors are pushing for the forfeiture of assets they claim were obtained through criminal means, including businesses, properties, and financial holdings tied to his alleged enterprise. The indictment specifically references his entertainment ventures, asserting that they were used as vehicles to facilitate and conceal misconduct. Federal authorities argue that stripping Combs of these assets is necessary to dismantle the infrastructure that allowed his alleged crimes to continue for so long. The revelations in the indictment have sent shockwaves through both the entertainment industry and the court of public opinion. For some, this case is seen as a long overdue reckoning for a man whose power and influence went unchecked for decades. Others, however, remain skeptical, questioning whether the government's aggressive pursuit is motivated by something beyond justice. Regardless of the speculation, Combs' legal troubles deepened further when his attorney, Anthony Rico, suddenly withdrew from the case. Rico, a seasoned defense lawyer known for representing high-profile and even dangerous clients, including individuals linked to terrorist organizations, provided no detailed explanation for his departure. His withdrawal has fueled intense speculation, with some wondering if he saw an unwinnable case ahead or if there were deeper, undisclosed issues within Combs' defense strategy. With the indictment now now public, all eyes are on the next legal proceedings, where Combs' defense team will attempt to dismantle the government's case. His attorneys are expected to challenge the validity of the evidence, questioning the credibility of witnesses and arguing that many of the allegations are based on testimonies rather than concrete proof. They will likely push for certain pieces of evidence to be excluded, including statements from individuals who may have financial motives for cooperating with the prosecution. Still, federal authorities will continue to build their case, likely presenting additional witnesses, digital records, and financial documents to strengthen their claims. The legal battle ahead will be complex, with both sides preparing for what could be a lengthy and highly publicized trial. Meanwhile, in a separate lawsuit filed in February 2024 in the Southern District of New York by Diddy's former producer, Rodney Lil Rod Jones Jr., the producer paints a clearer picture of Diddy's manipulative and dangerous behavior. Jones lays out allegations that paint an unsettling portrait of Combs' conduct behind closed doors. The complaint not only reinforces claims of coercion and manipulation, but also alleges a broader system of mistreatment and intimidation designed to keep those around him in submission. According to the lawsuit, Jones was initially brought in to produce several tracks for Combs' The Love album, Off the Grid. What began as a promising professional opportunity quickly took a dark turn. The filing alleges that Jones became entangled in an environment where Combs exerted extreme control over his life, making demands that went far beyond the scope of his role as a producer. Jones states that he was required to live with Combs for months at a time, spanning locations in Los Angeles, Miami, New York, and even aboard a yacht in the U.S. Virgin Islands. During this period, the lawsuit describes a work environment that blurred the lines between professional expectations and personal control, where Jones claims to have witnessed and endured disturbing incidents. One of the most alarming aspects of Jones's allegations is his claim that Combs consistently documented his own actions. According to the lawsuit, Jones was often required to record Combs, who would take his phone and film himself in compromising situations. The producer alleges that over time, he collected hundreds of hours of footage, some of which captured illicit activities, including the distribution of narcotics and firearms. The lawsuit states that these recordings serve as irrefutable evidence of Combs' misconduct and the atmosphere of lawlessness that allegedly surrounded him. Jones further claims that he was coerced into retrieving illegal substances for Combs and that other members of the music mogul's inner circle actively facilitated these actions. The lawsuit also accuses Combs of maintaining a network of individuals whose purpose was to enable his behavior. Among those named are members of Combs' business entities, including Combs Global and Love Records, as well as industry executives who allegedly turned a blind eye to his actions. The complaint alleges that Combs' chief of staff, Christina Coram, played a critical role in ensuring that Combs had constant access to illicit substances, while other close associates helped conceal the mogul's actions from the public eye. Jones claims that Combs' power and influence extended so far that he could manipulate not only his employees but also law enforcement, using his wealth to suppress investigations and silence those who posed a threat to his reputation. One particularly shocking accusation within the lawsuit describes an incident at Chalice Recording Studios in Los Angeles, where Jones claims to have been present during a shooting involving Combs. According to the complaint, an argument between Combs, his son Justin Combs, and another individual escalated to gunfire in a restroom near where Jones was seated. The lawsuit states that after the shooting, Combs ordered Jones and others to lie to law enforcement, fabricating a story about a drive-by shooting outside the studio. Jones, who claims to have personally applied pressure to the gunshot victim's wound, alleges that the incident was quickly covered up, with Combs ensuring that no legal consequences followed. Beyond the physical danger Jones alleges he was exposed to, the lawsuit also details an environment of extreme psychological and financial control. Jones claims that despite working tirelessly on the Love album, he was never properly compensated for his contributions. The producer recounts how Combs initially offered him only $29,000 for over a year of work, despite the fact that his production efforts were central to the album's success. When Jones attempted to negotiate fairer payment, the lawsuit claims he was met with intimidation tactics. In the end, Combs allegedly used his industry connections and power to make it clear that pushing back could result in Jones being blacklisted from the music industry. With the weight of a federal indictment pressing down on him and his empire crumbling, Diddy now faces a reality he never could have imagined. Once a billionaire mogul who commanded respect and fear in the music industry, he's now just another inmate in the system, stripped of his power, influence, and control. But while the case against him continues to unfold, his time behind bars has already become its own brutal story, one filled with paranoia, isolation, and the cold, inescapable truth that his former life may be gone for good. Diddy's life behind bars. With Sean Diddy Combs' trial set to begin on May 5th, the once dominant music mogul finds himself fighting not just for his reputation, but for his freedom. The stakes couldn't be higher. if convicted. MDC Brooklyn, the notorious federal detention center where he is currently being held, might become his home for the next decade or longer. Despite his legal team's efforts to secure his release on bail, the courts have shown little sympathy, and the evidence stacked against him suggests that his path to exoneration will be anything but easy. His stay at MDC Brooklyn has been nothing short of a brutal awakening. Stripped of the luxury and power he once wielded, Combs has had to adjust to a stark new reality where he is no longer in control. On the morning of September 20th, he woke up not as an industry mogul but as inmate number 37452054, following a strict 6 a.m. schedule for a breakfast of cereal, fruit, and a breakfast cake. An ordinary meal that underscored just how drastically his life had changed. Adding to his struggles, Combs was placed on suicide watch shortly after arriving at the facility. While some speculated that this was a precautionary measure given the gravity of his situation, others saw it as an indication of his deteriorating mental state. His legal team, led by attorneys Mark Agnifilo and Tenny R. Garagos, has been vocal about the conditions at MDC Brooklyn, calling the facility horrific and unfit for pretrial detention. Yet despite their efforts to portray his confinement as unjust, the reality remains unchanged. Combs is locked away under strict surveillance, confined to his cell for up to 23 hours a day with minimal interaction with the outside world. Beyond the psychological toll of isolation, Combs reportedly refused to eat, an alarming sign of his increasing paranoia. According to former inmate Larry Levine, who has connections inside the facility, Combs fears that someone might try to poison his food. The former inmate went so far as to suggest that in a facility known for corruption, it wouldn't be impossible for a correctional officer to be bribed to harm him. Imagine if someone paid off a guard to poison his food, give him a heart attack, and he dies, Levine speculated. These officers don't make a lot of money, and there are powerful people out there with a vested interest in keeping Diddy quiet. While the fear of targeted attacks may seem extreme, it's not entirely unfounded. MDC Brooklyn has earned a brutal reputation, not only for its dangerous conditions, but also for the mistreatment of high-profile inmates. With overcrowded cells, rampant violence, and a crumbling infrastructure, the facility has been widely condemned, with some judges refusing to send detainees there due to its inhumane conditions. Former inmates have described the experience as a nightmare, recalling how inmates were frequently locked down for extended periods, cut off from essential resources, and subjected to a relentless cycle of uncertainty and fear. Combs' high-profile status only adds to the risks he faces. Former prison warden Lindsay explained that celebrity inmates are often prime targets in the prison subculture, where attacking a well-known figure can earn an inmate a badge of honor. This has led to even stricter security measures being put in place for Combs, including his transfer to a more secure unit where he is housed alongside other high-profile defendants, including cryptocurrency fraudster Sam Bankman-Fried. While this unit offers slightly better conditions than the general population, it remains a far cry from the life of excess Combs once knew. The facility has also housed infamous figures such as Ghislaine Maxwell, whose time at MDC Brooklyn was marked by claims of poor nutrition, hair loss, and unsanitary living conditions. Maxwell's legal team argued that the detention center was far below the standard of humane confinement, echoing the complaints now being made by Combs' attorneys. Given the history of neglect, violence, and security failures at MDC Brooklyn, it is no wonder that concerns over Combs' mental and physical well-being continue to grow. The concerns became even more serious when Diddy suffered a breakdown during the Christmas period. That Christmas at MDC Brooklyn was unlike any other Sean Diddy Combs had experienced. Instead of being surrounded by his children in a lavishly decorated mansion, the music mogul found himself pacing a cold, dimly lit cell, unable to process the reality of his situation. Consumed by frustration and disbelief, Combs reportedly suffered an emotional breakdown, pleading with guards to transfer him to a medical facility. Sources claim he felt as if his mind was unraveling, overwhelmed by the weight of his circumstances. The guards, however, denied his request. There would be no special treatment, no moment of respite. He was just another inmate in the system, his past fame and fortune meaningless in the face of federal charges. It took hours for Combs to regain control of himself. According to those familiar with the ordeal, he turned to the meditation techniques he had adopted since his incarceration, focusing on deep breathing and visualization to pull himself out of the dark place he had fallen into. Whether it was true mindfulness or sheer desperation, the method seemed to work. Slowly, he calmed himself, managing to push through what had been, without a doubt, one of the most excruciating days of his life. While some close to him denied the severity of the incident, insisting that he was staying strong despite missing his family, there was no mistaking the toll prison had taken on him. His most recent court appearance left many stunned, with reporters describing him as astonishingly thinner and grayer than he had been just months prior. The stark contrast between the once vibrant mogul seen playing hacky sack in Central Park days before his arrest and the frail man standing before the court spoke volumes about how deeply incarceration was affecting him. Yet despite the challenges, Combs has not completely lost hope. In a recently leaked call with Kanye West, he seemed to be clinging to the last shreds of his resilience, determined to stay positive even as his world crumbled around him. The call, which appeared to have been recorded without Combs' knowledge, revealed a different side of the disgraced mogul. A man still holding on to faith, still dreaming of freedom, still encouraging others even as he faced his own uncertain fate. The conversation began with Combs warning West about the dangers of their industry. He made it clear that he believed outside forces were conspiring against them, but instead of dwelling on paranoia, he urged West to keep pushing forward. The words were almost surreal coming from a man confined within prison walls, but they carried the kind of energy that had once made Combs an unstoppable force in the music industry. He refused to let despair consume him entirely. As West vented about his ongoing feud with Kim Kardashian and his struggles within the industry, Combs reminded him of what truly mattered. His optimism didn't stop at others. He held on to it for himself as well. "When I get out and I get that freedom, woo," he said with a hint of excitement, as if envisioning a future where his legal troubles were behind him. For all the darkness surrounding his situation, the call proved that Combs was still fighting, still trying to convince himself and those around him that this wasn't the end. He spoke about gratitude, about appreciation, about the people who had stood by him when the world turned its back. "It's like being left for dead," he admitted at one point, "and only one person coming to do anything to get you. That's the level of appreciation that I have for you." Perhaps the most telling moment of the conversation came when Combs thanked West for looking after his children in his absence. It was a rare acknowledgement of just how much he had lost, not just his career and reputation, but the time he would never get back with his family. While he had always been known as a businessman, a producer, a party king, at his core, he was also a father. Missing Christmas with his children had already sent him into a downward spiral. Missing the next decade of their lives might break him entirely. As the call came to an end, Combs left West with one final piece of advice. It was a statement that hinted at the reality he was coming to terms with. His fight wasn't over, but it would be long. And while he sat inside MDC Brooklyn waiting for a trial that could determine the rest of his life, all he could do was hold on to the hope that one day he'd get the chance to fight back. For more content like this, click on the video showing on your screen now.